this. And they thought this might work.
Many nuns in this country have abandoned the traditional habit. You see them in modern garb. Did that occur to you as you began this series?
Well, the reason why I wear a habit is simply for the practical convenience. I never have to think about what I'll put on. I shave my head so I don't have to worry about a hairstyle. And since I wanted to give all my time to prayer, the less time I needed to spend upon myself, the better. So that's why I wear a habit.
What persuaded you in the first place to take up a religious life?
Oh, I wasn't persuaded. I had known from babyhood that's what I wanted to do.
But how do you know that?
Well, I wanted to love God totally, which of course is what everybody's called to do. But for me, because I've got a very small human capacity and are in some ways an inadequate woman, the only way to do it was to be a nun. So I've known always that I was going to be a nun. I was never even tempted to do anything else.
But how could you be so certain of that at such a young age?
Well, I suppose it's like somebody always wanting to be a doctor or a painter. I felt this is what I was made for.
Were you encouraged by your parents? Were they a religious family?
Well, they were religious in that I was quite certain that God mattered to my parents. They would never have missed going to Mass on Sundays. And also they were naturally good people. I never knew till I was grown up that adults fought or could be spiteful or say nasty things about other people, because I'd never heard it from my parents. Children did that. But adults always spoke nicely about other people. They were always gentle and compassionate. And if we criticized anybody, both my parents would say, no, that's not how we talk about other people. We don't say anything unless it's kind. Do we, dear? So I had an upbringing of the utmost freedom and sweetness. I was very, very lucky.
So there was never a moment when you doubted, never a moment when you didn't feel like you wanted to belong to God?
Well, I knew that I belonged to God. It was just a question of I wanted totally to belong. And with all this, I had a very willful, says my mother. Wendy was a willful child. So all this had to be somehow changed into goodness. And I was confident that God would do it. I can remember as a quite young child sort of sitting and thinking, I can't wait till I'm a nun. 16 seems such a long way off. Because then I thought, once I'm a nun, it will all come right. I'll be different. And I had to learn that that can indeed happen. You can enter upon a very unreal time of life in which you're sort of pretending in your habit to be somebody quite different. I wasn't Wendy anymore. I was Sister Michael. And Sister Michael was quite different from that silly schoolgirl.
I'm not sure I understand that. How was she different?
She was different in that she was wearing a habit and she was removed from all the temptations of being nasty to her little sister. Her life was completely ordered for her by the rule. And it took me some time to realize that I had to integrate Wendy, the real Wendy, that silly creature, with my religious life, because what God wanted was me, not a pretend me.
When you took that step, when you said, I'm giving myself to God, what exactly did you think you were doing?
I thought I was setting myself into a context in which God could take possession of me in a way I had not been free to let him do before. If I had been different, he could have done it always. But I was so weak that I needed that orderly setup. You know, that's the sound of a vocation. You need it. Not that you want it, but this is a life that you actually need if you're to be fully human.
And when you look back, do you feel this life filled a need?
Oh, yes. My life has infinitely surpassed what I hoped when I started. It's got richer and deeper and wider and higher as I've aged.
What do you do every day?
Well, I pray a lot. I mean, basically, that's what I do. I pray. I live in the sunshine of God's presence. It's absolute bliss. And although you might think this is bliss, dear Bill, compared, I can assure you it is not.
But living in solitude,